The next section to talk about is even and odd functions. So what do we mean by a function being even? What do we mean by a function being odd? So even, odd functions. So we're going to start with even. So what does it mean for a function to be even? There are a couple ways you can look at it. You can say, first, it's symmetric about the y-axis. So if you have the picture of the graph and it's symmetric about the y-axis, then it's even. So an example of this would be, here's my x-axis, here's my y, something like this. So you can see if I kind of treat the y-axis as a mirror, it's the same on both sides. So that means symmetric about the y-axis. Second way you can talk about even is to say that f of x equals f of negative x. What does this mean? It means that for this x value, the function is the same as the negative of that x value. That's what this means. So again, symmetric about the y-axis, or algebraically f of x is f of negative x. Now how do you do this algebraically? So to test this algebraically, you're going to go through a couple different steps. First one is you're going to set y equal to f of x. Next, you're going to replace x with negative x, because I want f of x to be f of negative x. Third, I'm going to simplify. And then lastly, compare. So again, two ways to look at a function if it's even. Either look at the picture, see if it's symmetric about the y-axis, or algebraically. And algebraically, these are the 4 steps that we're going to go through. So let's do an example of this. So for example, is f of x equal to x squared minus 2 even? Is this an even function? Well, I don't have the picture, so I can't just say it's symmetric about the x-axis. So what I'm going to do is instead do it algebraically. So step 1 was to set y equal to f of x. So there's my function. Next, I'm going to replace x with negative x. So far, so good. Now I'm going to simplify. Negative x squared is the same as x squared. So between this step, this was where x went to negative x. Now I compare, are these two equations the same? So yes, they are the same. So the answer is yes, f of x equals x squared minus 2 is even. So when I replaced x with negative x, I got the same equation. That tells me that, yes, this is even. Another example, is f of x equal to x cubed plus x squared even? Well, again, I don't have the picture, so I can't just say it's symmetric about the x-axis or the y-axis, or it's not. So let's do it algebraically. Step 1, set y equal to f of x. Next step, replace x with negative x. So I'll get y is negative x cubed plus negative x squared. Now let's simplify. Can't do anything with just y. Negative x cubed, well, that's an odd power, so that's going to be the same as negative just x cubed. Negative x squared, that's an even power, so that's just x squared. Now compare these two equations. Are they the same? No. So the answer here is no, it's not even. Okay, so that's what it is for an even function. Either it's symmetric about the y-axis, or algebraically f of x equals f of negative x. Now let's talk about an odd function. So an odd function, first way you could look at it, is pictorially, it means it's symmetric about the origin. So something like this. So how do you know if something's symmetric about the origin? What it means is that you flip the picture over, take this section here, flip it over the x-axis, and I'll get something like this. And I flip it over the y-axis, and yes, I do get this little section. So symmetric about the origin means if I take the first quadrant, flip it over the x-axis, flip it over the y-axis, I should get the same portion down here. So it's symmetric about the origin. So that's the first way you could look at a function being odd. Algebraically speaking, though, and that's the way that we're going to kind of concentrate on, is that to say it's odd, it means f of negative x should be negative f of x. That's what it means for it to be odd. Okay, so for example, or sorry, not for example, the steps that we're going to go through, you're going to set y equal to f of x, just like we did before. Second thing, replace y with negative y and x with negative x. Now you might be asking, why do we replace both? Because in even we only replace the x. We replace both because up here I have f of negative x, that's where the negative x is coming in, equals negative f of x. Now f of x was really y, so this is the negative y part. 3, simplify. And then 4, compare. If you get the same answer, then it is odd. If you don't, then it's not. So let's do 2 examples. Example 1, is f of x equal to x cubed odd? So let's go through our steps. First thing, set y equal to x cubed. Now I'm going to replace x with negative x and y with negative y. So negative y equals negative x cubed. Now let's simplify. Can't really simplify negative y. X here has an odd power, so this is the same as negative x cubed. Now I have a negative on both sides, so let's divide by negative 1 on both sides, so I get y equals x cubed. Are these two equations the same? Yes, they're the same. So the answer here is yes, f of x is odd. Okay, let's try a different one. Example 2 is f of x, which is equal to x squared minus x odd. So let's go through our steps here. I'm going to set y equal to x cubed minus x. Now I'm testing for odd, so I replace y and x with the negative ones. So negative y equals negative x cubed minus negative x. So I replace my two x's with negative x. Simplify. Negative x cubed, that's an odd power, so this is negative x cubed. Now negative and negative gives me a positive. And now let's divide everything by negative 1 to get rid of that negative out front. So I'll have y equals x cubed minus x. So again, going from this step to this step, I just divided by negative 1. Now do I get the same equation? Yes. So the answer here is yes, f of x is odd. And let's just do one more. How about is f of x, which is x squared plus 1 odd? Let's go through our steps. First thing, set y equal to your equation. Now we're looking to see if it's odd, so let's replace y with negative y and x with negative x. And let's simplify. Negative x squared, squared is an even number, so this is just x squared plus 1. Are these two equations the same? So the answer here is no. So this is not odd. So that's how you test for even and odd. Even, just replace x with negative x, simplify and compare. Odd, replace both x and y with the negatives and compare. So that's even and odd.